From October 3rd at Boston College to February 28th at Harvard, it's been a long season for the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team, but the best part of the season is finally here, playoffs. And the Bobcats are looking for their first ECAC title since 2016. Welcome inside to Studio 125 for this year's edition of Men's Ice Hockey Inside the ECAC. I'm Nick Olsen alongside Brianna Trachenberg, Heaton, and Zach Naffah. Are you guys ready to talk some ECAC hockey?
Oh, I can't wait. It should be a great show tonight.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk some hockey.
I'm excited too, but before we get into the action, Quinnipiac took a trip up north to face Dartmouth and Harvard for the final weekend of the regular season. Let's see how they did. The Bobcats on the hunt for their sixth straight Cleary Cup, but the Big Green looking to get in the way of that. Starting early in the first, Alex Cross picks up the rebound and puts it past Matej Marinov. Big Green ahead, less than 2 minutes in. The Bobcats respond, with Anton and Vero getting a great pass from Charlie Leddy, adding his 14th goal of the year. All tied up. In the dying seconds of the first, Chris Pelosi gets the puck off the defender's glove and makes no mistake putting it over the shoulder of Emmett Crozzo, taking their first lead of the night into the second period. The nation's leading goal scorer, Hayden Stavroff, tied it just 5 minutes into the second period with a shot from the top of the circles. But wait, the nation's leading point scorer, Ethan Whittenbach, would respond with a gorgeous backhand goal to regain the one-goal lead. Heading in to the final period of play, Dartmouth took control of this game. Nikita Nikora tied it nearly 4 minutes into the third period off a rebound that was left in the slot. Just about a minute and a half later, Nathan Morin on the 2-on-1 and his stick snaps, but Joshua Shen, sitting all alone in front, makes no mistake. Big Green back in front. Dartmouth and Quinnipiac would each add one more before the Big Green iced it with two empty netters, forcing Quinnipiac out of Thompson Arena without a Cleary Cup in hand. But on Saturday, Quinnipiac still controls their own destiny. Win, and they claim their sixth straight Cleary Cup. Dylan Silverstein standing tall early, denying Casey Severo. We'll go to the second period, all tied up 0-0. Heike Ruonen fires a shot, picks up his own rebound, and puts it past the five-hole of Silverstein. Harvard up 1-0. Minutes later, Anton and Vero one-times the puck off Harvard's Matt Biotto. Quinnipiac has tied this game up. Just after killing a penalty, Ethan Whittenbach finds Aaron Schwartz. He goes top shelf. We'll take another look at this one here. Ben Charette, Schwartz got to pass Ben Charette thanks to the historic assist from Ethan Whittenbach as he set a new Division I point record. Third period, Matthew Lansing on the forecheck sends a backhand pass, and Matt McGrory puts it home. 3-1 Quinnipiac. Final minutes, Harvard in desperation mode, but Silverstein turns it away. Marcus Vidicek would add an empty netter at the buzzer, and the Bobcats celebrate their Cleary Cup win for their sixth straight year. Silverstein made 19 saves. Ethan Whittenbach ends the year with 57 points, just 3 away from breaking the Bobcats' single-season point record. The Bobcats have had a handful of impact players on this year's roster, whether it's the possible Hobey Baker Award winner Ethan Whittenbach or a seasoned vet like Mason Marcellus. So who do you guys think is the biggest X factor for Quinnipiac's success this playoffs? Brianna, let's start with you.
You know, Nick, you just mentioned him. I'm going to have to go with Mason Marcellus on this one. I feel like he's been very consistent this year, and he's kind of flown underneath the radar. He's had 8 goals, 24 assists, and 32 points. He's second on the team in assists, and he's become a real playmaker for the team. And if he's playing on the same line as Ethan Whittenbach these playoffs, he's going to end up opening him up. I feel like it's going to give the Bobcats someone else to go to, especially because the teams are going to go after Ethan Whittenbach. And it will take some of the pressure off of Whittenbach if Marcellus can start scoring, and it will also help get the Bobcats scoring going and giving some more motion to them.
Yeah, I'm going to go with another line mate of Ethan Whittenbach, but I'm going to go with the other one, Marcus Vidicek, the center for them. Now, Vidicek, he hasn't been scoring as much lately. He did have that empty netter against Harvard, but the arena was so empty at that point, you could hear cricket. And so I just think that lately, when he's been scoring, this team has been rolling. Teams have started to focus on Whittenbach, like you said, but Vidicek is second behind him in goals with 19. He has a point in 24 of the 36 games played in Quinnipiac. 15-1-1 when Vidicek scores. The only loss coming against UConn in the CT Ice Championship game on January 24th. I think Vidicek, while those teams are going to focus more on Whittenbach, Marcellus has been the guy to kind of get those stretch passes to Whittenbach. I think Vidicek's a guy that is going to go to the net. He's a guy that can win faceoffs. He's a real two-way player, and he's so important on those draws. One of the best faceoff men in the entire NCAA, never mind the ECAC. I just think that if he's rolling and he can win draws, he can set up Whittenbach and set up Marcellus. This team can go far and can win a Whitelaw Cup.
Yeah, Zach, you make some great points. That's why my X factor is also Marcus Vidicek. And I liked what Brianna brought up, where his line mates, Ethan Whittenbach and Mason Marcellus, He's gotten a little bit cold as of late, but I'll tell you why. It's because he plays on that line with Ethan Wittenbach, and he's a top offensive producer in the NCAA. Even so, Vidicek, second on the team with 19 goals. Quinnipiac is 8-0-1 when he has a multi-point game, right? He's picking up that slack, though. Anytime that he's not producing, he's still making a huge impact on the ice, whether it's getting in front of the net or some huge defensive plays, right? We see him a lot of the time in the defensive zone where he gets a turnover. That creates offense. And then you can push that to either Marcellus, a seasoned vet, or Ethan Wittenbach, who, again, leads the nation. And he has just a nose to the net. He's almost like a moose when he barrels in there, gets to the front of the net, and he's really good all around in the offensive zone.
You know, I like how you guys went with like the offensive side of it. I went more with the defensive side. I'm going with Elliot Grunwald. I think he's been one of the most consistent players on the team all season long. He has very few bad games, and he leads the NCAA in plus minus. We've heard it all season, plus 36. But I think specifically, as much as my full screen says Grunwald, it's more the Grunwald and Blaise defensive pairing. The team is 11-3-0 when those two are paired together, and one of those losses was the game against Dartmouth last weekend where they did not play well, and it showed. So they need to be the defensive pair that steps up. When Letty was out, that's when Blaise took a step, and he's coming off a really great month of hockey, and I think that they have just come together really well this season, and honestly, I don't have a lot of faith in either goaltender right now, so they're going to need strong defense, and I think that they are the key to that beneficial defense.
Yeah, I mean, I got to agree. That top defensive pairing, while it's been one of the best, it could pick up for slack, right? I mean, you see a lot of teams. Remember in 2023, Vegas Golden Knights goaltender Aiden Hill? He may not have been the best goaltender, but that defense was so stacked.
That team was stacked in general.
And because of the defense as well, he made Aiden Hill, that whole team made Aiden Hill look good. I think that's what this defensive pairing as well, all the other defensemen can make either one of the Quinnipiac goalies this postseason.
Well, and you mentioned it. You look at that Dartmouth game when they didn't play well, the team gave up 5 goals without an empty net. You added the 2 empty netters to make it 7. But they didn't play well, and the team was still in the game, especially, I think it was Grunwald was a -1 or a -2, Blaise the same way. Those guys had been so good for such a long time, and the team had been so good with them being the backbone of the defense that I do think that your Grunwald pick is a very good pick because when he had a bad game, Dartmouth beat them. When he has good games, almost nobody can beat them.
Yeah, those are some great picks from everybody there. But let's talk X Factor. We talked X Factor already, but let's get away from Quinnipiac. Who is going to be the biggest standout in the ECAC hockey playoffs? Zach, let's start with you.
I'm going to go with Cornell's Jonathan Castagna. I think that this is a guy that has done it before. He does everything well. Last season, 2025 All-Tournament Team selection. He is one of the best face-off men in the nation, if not the best, 64.1%, the highest among players with 300-plus face-offs. Taking Cornell 11-0, and Castagna has 2+ points. 5th in the conference with 25 points. He's top 10 in goals and points in the conference, plus tied for 14th in assists. In just conference games, bump those numbers up to top 5 and top 10. He's physical. He wins draws at a higher rate than anybody. Like I said, in playoff hockey, you need guys that can win faceoffs, that can kill off penalties, that can score, and that can be physical. And Castagna can set a physical tone. Last season, you see it on the screen right now, scores a goal against Quinnipiac in the semifinals. And then after that, a physical hit on Charlie Letty. Yes, it was a penalty, but sets the intensity. He can win draws in the defensive zone, can win draws in the offensive zone, can win draws in the neutral zone, and is a playmaker. He is the definition of a 200-foot player, and in the playoffs, for a team like Cornell that's defensive, but also needs to look for some offense, he is the perfect player to watch out for in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, you make some great points there, but I have to go with the nation's leading goal scorer, Heaton. He leads the NCAA in goals, while the next closest player to him in goals, Ethan Wittenbach, has played 6 more games, so it's just super impressive. He's really good at getting to the slot and kind of finding the area of the slot. He plays on a really good line that can feed him the puck, and he's just always wandering around. He's just so dangerous. He reminds me a lot of Alex Ovechkin, but he just plays closer, tighter in the slot. Dartmouth, 12-2-2 when he scores, so it's super important when he gets on the board, and he just has the nose in the offensive zone to where at any point, any time in the offensive zone, he can score. And he's just a player you have to look out for at all times while he's on the ice. He also brings a big bodily presence as well, like you mentioned with your pick. It's not just the goals, but he goes out there. He's always chirping like a cricket at his opponents, or he's being a big body presence to really get the offense riled up.
I mean, I like that pick, and I think Dartmouth is a very strong team. But I'm going to have to go with Hank Cleves instead of Hayden Stavroff. Now, I know everyone's going to look to Hayden Stavroff being the nation's leading goal scorer. I understand that, rightfully so. But once playoffs hit, it's never just the first-place goal scorers that are leaving a mark. And Stavroff can't do it all. I think Cleves is going to step up even more than he already has, and that's going to be the key to Dartmouth going far. And it's important to note he's 3rd in the conference in points behind just Stavroff and Wittenbach. So he's 2nd in conference assists, and a fun stat is that Dartmouth is 8-2-2 when Cleves scores. So I think that he's an underrated pick because, yeah, maybe he's not the one getting the most attention on his own team because of Heaton Stavroff, but I think that he is just as good, and I think that he really has a chance to be the key to why Dartmouth ends up going far in the tournament.
I mean, Nick, I'm going to have to agree with you here. I also picked Heaton Stavroff, and look, I have to say that if the two of them can work together throughout the playoffs, I do think that Dartmouth is going to have a pretty good team throughout the run.
Yes.
I mean, I agree. Heaton Stavroff is an all-around player. He's been great all along, and he's been clear that he's been leading the offense for Dartmouth throughout this entire season, and he's averaging 1.46 points per game. And I think that truly he runs the offense for Dartmouth, and if you have someone that you know that you can go to for scoring throughout the playoffs, and you know that no matter what, they're going to put the puck into the net, then you're going to have a team, then you're going to have someone that you can rely on and that can get a goal no matter what the situation is.
But
You're
in
the
the
odd man
playoffs, you know what, I may not pick someone from the Big Red instead of the Big Green, but I'll tell you what, the Big Red won the Whitelaw Cup a year ago. Castagna on the team. He has experience winning. And also, in the playoffs, there's less goals to be scored. So a Stavroff, a Cleves, guys that are more goal scorers and offensive players aren't going to be as effective as a guy like Castagna, who is a playoff type of player where he's going to play the full 200-foot game, especially when you're the best guy at faceoffs. You're going to be out on the ice a lot. And now I know we're going to have our brackets later on in the show, but these are teams that I think a lot of us expect to go very far. If Dartmouth does go very far, Cleves and Stavroff are going to be taken away from each other. I think Castagna has that standout stature on that team without an Ian Shane to take over from him.
For what it's worth, Cleves is also a playmaker. I mean,
He is.
like I said, he's top of the league,
But when
top
you're
of the
playing with
conference in assists.
Stavroff, it takes away from you a little bit.
I think Cleves and that whole Dartmouth team, while they're defensive as well, they're just going to be looking to Stavroff. I mean, he leads the nation in goals. He's so good in the slot at picking his spot. He's a top sniper in the league. I just think in the whole time, especially in the playoffs, when you need goals, you're going to be looking to Stavroff on the ice.
When you're looking for someone to make the clutch play, you're going to go to Stavroff.
Yes, but
you're going to want someone
if you
who can
just
do
go
that.
look at that Quinnipiac game against Dartmouth, Stavroff got one. The rest of the team was scoring. That's a guy that if teams are going to play a very similar way to what Quinnipiac did against Dartmouth at Dartmouth, where they're going to take away a Stavroff, they're going to take away a Cleves, they're going to potentially take away a Foley, and the other guys are going to score. You need to step up without just goal scoring. I like the Cleves pick more than I like the Stavroff pick, but I think the two of them playing on that same line will take away some of the shine from each other.
Well, there's always some teams that surprise a lot of people, and there's always that one dark horse team. So I'll start us off with my dark horse team, and I have to go with the Union Garnet Chargers. Behind Quinnipiac, they have the second best expected goals against versus expected goals for, meaning they're expected to score a lot more than their opponent. They've been getting a little unlucky, but down the stretch, they've been really, really good. Cameron Corpy has also looked fantastic for Union. His last time out against Brown, shutout, 20 saves. 31 saves against Dartmouth, 3 goals against. 34 saves against Harvard, 1 goal against. And 28 saves against Cornell, who I know you think this is the best team in the ECAC. And just down the line, Union, who went 11-9-2 in the ECAC, so not the best record. Again, they were getting a little lucky. 5th best offense in the NCAA. Best penalty kill in NCAA play. They were .1 off for the ECAC lead, tied for the most power play goals in the ECAC, and winners of 7 of their last 10 games. This is a team that when you're coming down hot the stretch, you have to look out for in the playoffs. And while they might not have the top end talent, they have a well-built team and a pretty solid goaltender in Cameron Corpy. He could win you a playoff game, and that lineup is dangerous. And if I'm any team in the ECAC, I'd be scared of this Union team.
Union's a very good team, but I don't think I would consider them a dark horse, which is my dark horse is RPI.
Okay.
They have found ways to stick with good teams all season long. They took both Cornell and Quinnipiac to overtime. Granted, Quinnipiac won in overtime, but Cornell won in the shootout, so it went down as a tie. They're 4-1-1 in their last games, and while they'll probably lose in the second round, I think they have a lot of potential to at least win a game and give some teams run for their money, because I don't think that there is another true sleeper team, considering the 4 is in Princeton, the 5 in Union, and the 6 in Harvard were all so close. I don't feel comfortable calling any of those teams a sleeper team or a dark horse or anything like that, because they took until the last game of the regular season for that first round bye to be clinched for Princeton. So I think that they're all very much on the same level. And if you wouldn't consider Princeton a dark horse, I don't think you can consider Union a dark horse.
Before you go, how can you consider a team a dark horse if you have them winning 1 playoff game?
You don't know what my bracket looks like yet.
You don't know.
You just said they're losing in the second round.
I said they probably will. That doesn't mean they
You
won't
never
win a game.
said Union was winning the second round either. You just said they were going to win.
Wait for the brackets then.
Look, I'm going to have to agree with you, Nick. I also think that Union is a dark horse. Look, I went back and forth between RPI and Union, but I can't really give RPI the dark horse if I also only believe that they're going to win one game. I gave Union because I think that they can actually make some like disruption in the bracket, and I do think they can go far, and honestly, I could even see them going to the championship game. I think that they're a team that teams are going to sleep on, they're going to overlook them and go, you know what, it's just Union. They didn't have the first round bye, they're not a top 4 team. Where we don't have to prepare as hard, and then Union's gonna come in and they know that their season's on the line no matter what for all of their games going forward, and they're gonna be able to come through and beat some of these better teams.
So again, I think Union's a good team. Just like Ava said, I don't know if I can consider them too much of a dark horse. I also went with the Engineers and Puckman. I mean, RPI is just a fantastic team in terms of what they do well. They're not a great team. They're a solid team, though, at some of the small things. Penalty kill percentage, they're third in the conference. Face-off winning percentage, third. They're also second in blocked shots with, 314 on the season. This is a team that isn't necessarily going to go far, but they have a good matchup for them against Clarkson. 2-0 on the season. They outscored them 9-4, including 5-1 in that first matchup. Now, that was the home game. This will be at Clarkson. They still won 4-3 there. Clarkson doesn't have the best power play, doesn't block many shots. I think RPI, you look at the recipe for success. They hold teams without a power play goal 20 different times this year. Playoffs, special teams are crucial. You look at that game against Quinnipiac, that second time when they took them to overtime. They had 15 blocks, took away some of the shooting lanes. They had some opportunities to score, and then they forced overtime. Now, did they win the game? No. But when you play against top-tier teams, you're going to have your best. And I don't think RPI is the best team. I don't expect RPI to go far, like Ava said. But what I do expect is for them to be a team that can win their first round game and push back, just the same way Brown did last year against Quinnipiac. Brown and Quinnipiac in that quarterfinal round, they got swept, but the Bears gave a fight for the majority of the 60 minutes in both of those games.
Look, you can go.
Okay, when I think of a dark horse team, though, I think of a team that no one is expecting that's going to go far, and I don't think our lines up with that.
And when I think of a dark horse team, I think of a team that no one would expect to go far.
You're thinking of a team that's going to win one game.
And you're thinking of a team that was in the 4th spot until the last game of the regular season.
I'm thinking of a team that everyone's going to be overlooked because that they went down, because they weren't in the top 4, and I think that this team could go to the championship. I don't think RPI is. I think RPI is going to be like a 2-win team.
Sleepers, dark horses, whatever you want to call them, don't have to go to a championship to be a dark horse or to be a sleeper. They just need to perform better than expected.
So what's your exact definition of a dark horse team then?
A team that performs better than expected.
Okay.
Same way you draft a guy in the 5th round in fantasy football.
But this is an 8-9 matchup in RPI Clarkson. One of them has to win. Either one of them is going to be a sleeper team, quote unquote, because they're going to win. A low seed's going to win and move on. I just don't understand how you could be a sleeper team winning one playoff game where this Union team, no one's expecting them to go deep. This team could very well be playing in Lake Placid on March 21st.
Because I think that Clarkson has less of a chance to win a game in the second round than RPI does. I think of the two teams, RPI has a better chance of winning a game in the second round. And to me, I just don't think there is a true dark horse because I think that the top of the league, yes, it's very good. Your top 4 are very good. Your top 6 are really good, honestly. Below that, they're not that good.
I mean,
they're probably not going to win many games.
Harvard was knocking on the door of a top 20 MPI performance at the beginning of the season. Harvard is a good team. Harvard finished 6th in this league. There is a significant drop-off from that 6th seed to that 7th seed in this conference. And I just think that if you take someone in that top 6, it's hard to consider them a dark horse. I'll concede to you that Union very much could go to Lake Placid. Do I expect them to? No. But the Garnet Chargers, as currently constructed, by my definition, don't fit a dark horse team. I think they are a good team that could go further than expected, but I don't know if I consider them a dark horse because they were basically a top 4 seed.
I just don't understand how you have I don't get your argument because it's an 8-9 matchup. One of them has to win. So in your quote,
it's a 5-12 matchup for Union. So if they win the 5-12 matchup,
but I'm saying,
oh my goodness, they get to go.
Just wait till I bracket them because I have some predictions for you, Zach.
I can't wait to see it then, Nick.
All right, well, we have to take our first break of the night here at the desk, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, we'll all be sharing our predictions for the playoffs, along with shifting focus to the national side with our Hobey Baker pick. Don't go anywhere. Inside the ECAC, we'll be right back.
Do you enjoy Quinnipiac sports?
I just keep believing you're going to pick Paige Girardi over Carson Martin. I think
Floor general, absolute glue guy on the court.
then Bobcat Breakdown is the place for you.
'Twas the night of Bobcat Breakdown, and all through the suite, all the producers were running round, getting ready for show of the week.
I brought mittens because I think that half of this take is cold.
I think us Anthonys think alike because I have the exact same idea as you.
Tune in to Bobcat Breakdown every Tuesday night at 9:30 p.m. on q30tv.com/watch.
Guys! We have to make a commercial for #that right now. What do we do?
How long do we have? We only had 2 months to do this.
We could explain that it's a pop culture news show that covers everything from movies, music, and video games.
Yeah, and we can also talk about how there's pre-recorded segments that vary from reviews to in-depth discussions.
We should also mention that it broadcasts live every Monday at 7 p.m. on q30tv.com/watch.
I think that covers everything. Did you guys get that down?
The go-to Quinnipiac news source for students by students. We've got the latest on campus news, student life, and stories all around the country. Get to know your local community with features on Hamden businesses and politics. Everything you need to know, all in 30 minutes. Wednesdays at 9:30, reporting for the Quinnipiac community.
I'm Melissa Sheehan.
I'm Sophia DeBona.
I'm Amari Smith.
I'm Christina Tsimanis. I'm Riley Farrell.
I'm Andrew Olsen.
I'm Miranda Patorti.
We are the Q30 Newscast.
Left for Vidicek. Vidicek walking in. Shot. Save made. Rebound. Score!
Did you miss this goal last night? No worries. We got you covered.
Antonin Varro gets the puck to Ethan Winbach in front of the net. He puts it past Alvin Boya.
Every team, every game.
She shoots it blocker side into the net.
All the news, highlights, and more.
First year connection. Ty Turner to Keith McKnight.
This is Sports Pause, Monday nights at 9:30, only on Q30 Television.
Welcome back to Inside the ECAC. If you're just joining us, I'm Nick Olsen alongside Brianna Trachenberg, Ava Heaton, and Zach Naffah. It's time to take a look at the full bracket for this year's ECAC tournament. With Quinnipiac winning this year's Hobey Cup, they will receive a first-round bye, along with Dartmouth, Cornell, and Princeton. The five-seeded Union Garnet Chargers are hosting the Brown Bears. Harvard has St. Lawrence, Colgate hosting Yale, and to round out the first round, it's RPI at Clarkson. Now that we've taken a peek at the bracket, it's time to fill out our predictions. Ava, let's start with your bracket.
I mean, let's just take a look at my bracket because I have some interesting takes, I think. Obviously, Union over Brown. I think RPI is going to upset Clarkson. I think you could have figured that one out from the last block. I have Yale upsetting Colgate. I think Colgate is entirely too inconsistent, and I think that Yale has a lot of potential to beat them. And then I have Harvard over St. Lawrence. Moving on, Union 2-1 over Princeton. Quinnipiac 2-0 over Yale. I feel like that's not that crazy of a take. I do have RPI winning a game against Dartmouth, which may be a controversial take, but like I said, they're my dark horse. And then Cornell over Harvard 2-0. And then my semifinals, I think, has the potential to be really, really good matchups. I think Quinnipiac Union would be one of the best games of the season, and I think so would Dartmouth Cornell, actually. I think that either of my semifinals could go either way, but I have Quinnipiac over Union and Cornell over Dartmouth, and then Cornell winning in the championship, beating Quinnipiac, and Cornell would get 2 in a row.
You know, I have some similarities to your bracket, Ava, but we can go ahead and look at mine. Start off, I'm going to have Union over Brown, of course, and I agree. I do think that RPI is going to beat Clarkson. I have Colgate over Yale. Even though that Colgate has been inconsistent, I think that Yale has slumped off towards the end of the season here. They haven't won a game in regulation since January 17th, so I just think that Colgate could win. And then I have Harvard taking St. Lawrence, and then I have Union winning against Princeton, Quinnipiac winning against RPI, and then Dartmouth shutting out Colgate and Cornell shutting out Harvard. And then I have Quinnipiac beating Union, although I did go back and forth on that one. I do think that Union could walk away from that game. And then I have Dartmouth beating Cornell. And then I have Quinnipiac and Dartmouth. I do think that Dartmouth is going to win. I don't think that Quinnipiac is going to be able to pull it off against Dartmouth.
I just think it's funny that you knocked on us for taking RPI as a sleeper and then have RPI beating Quinnipiac in one game. So that means they would win 2 games.
I think that they could win one game.
Just for the record.
I do think that they could win, but I just don't think. I just don't think that Quinnipiac can sweep a team. I don't think that they could go 3-0 or 2-0 against a team.
Well, I think they can, and I'll show you right here. I think they do sweep RPI after RPI gets there. I will say I think maybe one of those games is a close game, maybe a 2-goal game, potentially an empty net at the end. But I'll take Union over Brown, chalk the entire first round except for RPI, Colgate over Yale, and Harvard over St. Lawrence. And then I have Cornell sweeping Harvard, Quinnipiac sweeping RPI. Dartmouth, I think, will drop a game against a deep Colgate team that is a little better than that. Princeton, I have defeating Union in that quarterfinal matchup because I think Princeton is a slightly better team than Union. I think it goes 3 games. I think they're pretty close. And then I have Quinnipiac and Cornell in the championship. This time, though, I have Quinnipiac. So, Nick, I said Cornell was the best team. I still think Quinnipiac, the Cleary Cup team, is the best team in the conference. Could get their first Whitelaw Cup in a decade. But I do think that so far, the only difference really here is I have Princeton defeating Union in that quarterfinal matchup.
Well, let's take a look at my bracket next.
Well, we know you're taking Union.
And I'm sure you guys are going to love my first-round picks here. Obviously, I have Union over Brown, but I have Clarkson over RPI. I think they get it done at home. They're a pesky team, always a thorn in people's sides. I have Yale over Colgate there. I think Noah Pox can have a really good game. They've been hot down the stretch. Harvard over St. Lawrence. We've gone to the quarterfinals. I have Union over Princeton. I think it's going to go 3, but I think it comes down to how these teams are playing down the stretch. Union 7-2-1, Princeton just 4-5-1. I have Quinnipiac sweeping Yale. It would be a fun series, obviously. I think the bank would be packed. Quinnipiac gets that done in 2. I have Dartmouth sweeping Clarkson in 2, and Cornell over Harvard in 2. Moving on to my Lake Placid predictions, I have Quinnipiac over Union. I just think that this Union season's run comes to an end. Quinnipiac, just too deep of a team for Union to handle. And then, like Ava mentioned before, this Dartmouth-Cornell game could just be so much fun. I think it's going to come down to just the depths of the teams, and I think that you could argue Dartmouth is the better team just overall. You look in between the pipes, I mean, Emmett Croto has been amazing for Dartmouth all year long. And then we go to the finals where it's Quinnipiac and Dartmouth, and I think it's tough, really tough to beat a team 3 times in one season. So I got Quinnipiac winning their first white loss since 2016.
So I think the top 3 teams in the conference, we all have in Lake Placid, and we all think are very good. Well, those are the only 3 teams we have making the finals. The Princeton team, this is where that matchup comes down to me. The experience in the ECAC tournament. Arthur Smith, who is most likely going to be the goaltender for the Tigers, has experience, made 16 saves on 17 shots in the 2024 first-round game against Harvard. And Kai Daniels and David Jacobs both are terrific, 24 points in conference each. When you look at the 2 games these teams played this year, which they split, Daniels had no points. I do not expect Kai Daniels to be held scoreless by the Garnet Chargers again. And Jacobs, he had 3 assists in those 2 games. I am still expecting more from him. I just think that when you look at the talent level, I think those are the 2 best players in the matchup. And I think Arthur Smith, with that experience in an ECAC tournament, is going to be the difference maker between those 2 teams.
I definitely think the Union-Princeton series would be a close one, but I think that Union is pesky. I think that they can sneak up on teams, and I just don't think that Princeton is as good as everyone acts like they are.
Yeah, I agree with Ava there. I think that this Union team is going to overpower Princeton. I mean, up and down the lineup, you look at just the depth. Union can score from all places in that lineup and in the depth on the defense, where the Princeton team, especially down the stretch, they just haven't been performing at the standards. And when you come into the playoffs cold, and you should know this from any team in any sport, you don't find success.
You get a bye week, though. You get to regroup. You get your head rescrewed.
And then Union's going to be even more fresh, though. They come in now playing a semifinal game. I think they're going to walk Brown. They come into this Princeton series. Again, Princeton, very, very good team at home this year. But I just think Union overpowers them, and they come away with the win. Granted, 3-game series, or best 2 out of 3 series, it's going to go all 3 games. But I think Union walks away with that.
I agree. It's gonna go all 3 games, but Union is gonna walk away. I think that they're the better team, and like I've been saying, I think that everyone keeps overlooking Union. I think that Princeton is not as good as people think that they are, and I think that Union is gonna end up coming out. It's hard to play in Hobey Baker Arena, but Union was able to win the game that was down there, and I think that they're gonna be able to walk away from that game, and that Princeton's not going to be able to win.
It's hard to win 2 games on the road as well. So I do think that Princeton, being the home team, is the one that gives me the break here. Again, going back to the dark horse, if Union was the home team, I would take Union, which is why I would have no problem saying they are not a dark horse. And I think when it comes down to that close at the end of the season, you're right. Union's playing better. Union has to play that extra game. They should beat Brown relatively handily. Yeah. But Princeton has some time to get readjusted, refocused, and then have to play on home ice, whereas Union has to play that extra game and then travel and try to win 2 of 3 on the road. I think that's too difficult for them to be able to pull off against a team that I think is similar in terms of talent level and I think has the 2 best players in the matchup.
All right, well, that was some great debate and great predictions, but I'm excited to see how everyone's bracket turns out. Before we're going to shift focus over to the national stage, let's take a look at the NPI rankings. Michigan in at number 1, then it's their rival Michigan State at the 2 spot. North Dakota, Western Michigan, and Penn State round out the top 5. Quinnipiac in at the 7th spot right now. ECAC foe Cornell in at number 9, and Dartmouth sits at number 11. All right, it's time to talk awards. The Hobey Baker Award, awarded to the best men's ice hockey player every year, and there's been some notable alumni. Brianna, let's start with your pick for the award first.
My pick, I'm going to have to go with Quinnipiac's own Ethan Wittenbach. He's just been unstoppable this year. He's had 23 goals, 33 assists. I can always see the reactions you guys are having over there. But even just look at today. He won ECAC Forward and Rookie of the Month again this season, and he won National Forward of the Month. He's won 4 ECAC weekly awards and 5 monthly awards. He leads the NCAA in points with 57. He broke the Quinnipiac Division I first-year scoring record. He's 3 points away from breaking the single-season scoring points record. I mean, he's had 17 multi-point games this season. He has truly been unstoppable out there on that ice, and he's been leading Quinnipiac's offense throughout this whole season. As a true first year, as an 18-year-old, he's doing this compared to some of the older players who I know he's up against for the Hobey Baker. So I think that he has truly been impressive coming right on out of the gate, and I think that he honestly does deserve it.
See, you said older players. I'm thinking a younger player as well, and I'm thinking one in an actual tough conference. That's Gavin McKenna right there. 1.1 assists per game leads the NCAA. 1.53 points per game leads the Big Ten. Second in the NCAA behind Ethan Wittenbach. And oh yeah, he plays in, what did I say, the Big Ten, where you got teams like Michigan and Michigan State. 19 points against top 25 NPI teams, and a 2-time HCA National Rookie of the Month winner. McKenna's 33 assists are tied for the national lead, broke a Penn State record set by teammate Aiden Fink. He leads the Big Ten in power play assists with 16, tied for first in power play points with 20. In his last 14 games, he's got 28 points, which leads the Big Ten, and is ranked second nationally during that span. 7 goals and 11 assists at even strength, also top in the Big Ten over that span. He is a all-around superstar. Oh yeah, he can celly with the best of them as well. 8 points in that game against Ohio State a few games ago. He is the definition of a superstar. When I think Hobey Baker, I think superstar, potential #1 draft pick. And as good as Ethan Wittenbach has been with Quinnipiac, and don't get me wrong, he has been amazing. He's doing it against ECAC teams, and when he had to play Cornell a couple nights ago, it was not a good game for him. When Gavin McKenna plays those big teams, he can put up big numbers.
Well, Zach, when I think of Hobey Baker, I also think of superstar, but I also think of Quinnipiac's Ethan Wittenbach. He was the National Forward Month again, right? He leads in almost every statistical category except goals. But oh wait, who leads in goals? An ECAC player, right? Your argument about ECAC not being that good, Ethan Wittenbach in 7 games against ranked opponents, 7 points, he's a point per game. The only stat that he doesn't lead in, which is chip, which is college hockey's WAR. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with WAR in baseball, but here's the flaw with that, okay? It takes strength of schedule, time on ice, and shooting percentage, okay? The only thing he's really helping in shooting that shooting percentage, because guess what? He's not even in the top 50 in shots on goal this year, because that means when he shoots, he scores with efficiency, okay? And then
how many of those are breakaways, by the way?
All right, well, he's faster than all of his opponents. He could really break out. And he plays on such a deep Quinnipiac team where the time on ice also doesn't be handed. But when he's on the ice, these guys like Marcus Vidicek that we mentioned before, Mason Marcellus, they're feeding him the puck. And he does a great job with, I mean, look at that goal against Alaska in the shootout there. Whenever he has the puck, he's making headlines.
Alaska Fairbanks.
Whenever he has the puck, he's making headlines. I just think that when you think of a guy that's going to win Hobey Baker, it's a guy that's going to come out, he's going to play big. That Yale game right there, hat-trick against Yale in a big game.
Yeah,
granted, it's Yale. Granted, it's Yale.
In the ECAC.
Granted, it's Yale, but he had a hat-trick against them. He shines in these
So
big
did
games.
Colin Graff. He didn't win the Hobey. He wasn't even top 3.
All right.
I can't believe we have 2 Ethan Wittenbach picks at the desk. I had to go with another Big Ten athlete, TJ Hughes from Michigan. He has 47 points to lead the Big Ten, second in the NCAA.
Okay.
But he leads his conference. 18 points against ranked teams, and Michigan is 14-0-1 when he registers a multi-point game. He's very valuable to his team. Second on Michigan in goals and assists. And I don't know if you knew this, Wittenbach is not even first in conference points. Again, he's not. He's a point behind Stavrov. So by that logic, shouldn't Stavrov?
A point or a goal?
No, a point.
He's
in conference play. In games in ECAC play, he is a point behind Hayden Stavrov. So by that logic, shouldn't Hayden Stavrov win the Hobey Baker then?
No.
I don't think so.
Because
I also don't think you can win the Hobey Baker if you're not the most valuable player to your team. And I don't think Ethan Wittenbach's the most valuable player to Quinnipiac. I think it's Chris Pelosi. So should Chris Pelosi win the Hobey Baker?
Why isn't Chris Pelosi then your pick for the Hobey Baker?
Because I think TJ Hughes is more beneficial to Michigan than Chris Pelosi is to Quinnipiac.
I don't mind your argument there, but by him not leading the ECAC in points, that means he's going out there against other opponents that are outside the ECAC, which to your argument, he's not doing well. That means he's got all these points. I mean, 7 points in 7 ranked games, while he doesn't have a lot of games played. He's a point per game in those stats, meaning if he were to play in these other conferences, maybe he'd have even more points because he shines in these big games. This guy, in the month of February, 3 game-winning goals, 16 points, 9 goals. all those stats led the country. Okay. Now, the last time someone led by more than 10 points, it was Jack Eichel in 2015. His teammate Ivan Rodriguez had 61.
Where did Jack Eichel play?
Boston University.
Yeah, Boston University is a big team in a big conference. Again, no matter what, I think Ethan Wittenbach has been fantastic, and I think Ethan Wittenbach deserves consideration. But historically speaking, ECAC players do not win the Hobey Baker unless they play for the Harvard Crimson. And last time I checked, Ethan Wittenbach is going to have significantly more impact than other players in his conference. And he might not even be the best player in his conference. I think the TJ Hughes pick is a solid pick as well. He's tied with McKenna with 36 points in Big Ten play. I'm just going to lean with the guy who's less experienced, who is a superstar that can show up any night. And I think Hughes is, again, on a stacked Michigan team, which I think might take away a little bit from him with some other top-tier players like Horkoff for the Wolverines. I just think that Wittenbach, again, phenomenal case, phenomenal player. I would say the best player in the ECAC, but again, he plays in the ECAC.
I agree with you, and I think that the McKenna pick is also good. But this is my thing with Wittenbach is, should he win? Maybe. Maybe he should win. That's not the question. The question is who's going to win. And the odds are stacked against him, whether you guys want to admit it or not.
I think he should win, and I think there's a very good chance he might win. The way that he's dominated, again, he's a 19-year-old coming in, no experience. He had the 1 year in the USHL, but he's coming in and he's absolutely dominating. Every time he's on the ice, he's making headlines. I mean, just the last month or so.
So is Gavin McKenna. McKenna won Rookie of the Month for this month and was runner-up to Wittenbach, and Wittenbach was vice versa.
Wittenbach was forward of the month.
So what's the difference? They both won an award.
But Wittenbach was the best forward in the nation.
So maybe he was best forward, but that means McKenna was playing a better two-way game. Is that how they judge that? Because he's playing a better rookie.
Rookie of the month.
Rookie of the month, forward of the month.
Still,
they both
did he win defender of the month?
He did win defender of the month. He won rookie of the month.
Being a rookie and being in a first year, him getting forward of the month is a lot more impressive than him getting rookie of the month out of the entire nation.
I don't know, because McKenna was runner-up, which is right there, and then he beat him. So I think the question is, what's the award committee's criteria? Because why did one player win one award and the other won the other when they're both rookies?
Because Wittenbach is better than Gavin McKenna. Now, I don't think that's a question. I think there's more of an argument for TJ Hughes.
Wittenbach is better than Gavin McKenna.
I do.
Which is why Gavin McKenna is potentially, at
minimum,
going to be a top 3 pick.
Wittenbach was already drafted. I think if he comes in the draft class this year, he's the number 1 overall
That's
player.
why Gavin McKenna is a 18-year-old, 19-year-old, is dominating the Big Ten, and is going to be a top 3 pick, and Ethan Wittenbach was a 5th-round pick because he isn't the same type of player.
That's before he came in to Quinnipiac.
You're right, and he's developed very well, and I think he's going to have a fantastic collegiate career. And again, like Ava said, should he win? Probably, possibly. Pick your adjective.
Let me pose you this question. Do you think Wittenbach can win the Hobey next year?
I would think he has a better chance of winning next year as long as he stays at Quinnipiac and continues
works
the
on his
system.
defensive game.
But I think that right now, you have to be so much better than the rest of the competition to be the Hobey Baker Award winner in the ECAC.
I think your argument's a little flawed
better.
because McKenna's a bit of an outlier. He had an 8-point game against an unranked Ohio team.
Which is top 25 in the MPI. So a better team than
but how
Harvard.
many ECAC teams are ranked top 25 in MPI? There's what,
Cornell,
4?
Dartmouth, Quinnipiac who he plays for, so you take them out. Who's after that?
And then Union's up there, and so is Harvard. They're both teams that are at least top 30 in MPI.
Top 30, not top 25. Ohio State's 23. Ohio State's 23.
That's a 5-number difference.
And those 5 numbers are a big
That's
drop-off.
5 teams.
That's a big drop-off between a team that is borderline in the tournament.
I think you're overrating
Ohio State got USCHO votes as well. Where's Union there?
I don't think he's overrating Gavin McKenna. I think he's just pointing out that it's a lot more difficult to play in the Big Ten than it is to play in the ECAC.
But what about can't control what league he's playing
I
in?
know he can.
But he also can't control what the committee thinks. And the committee's going to think, oh, Gavin McKenna plays in the Big Ten. TJ Hughes plays in the Big Ten. Ethan Wittenbach plays in the ECAC. We are not the committee. Ava and I are not going to decide who gets Hobey Baker. You're asking me who I think the committee is going to decide is going to get Hobey Baker. I'm going to go with Gavin McKenna, and I'd probably put TJ Hughes right up there too. I'd also think Ethan Wittenbach is probably in my top 5, but the committee, I don't think, is going to say Ethan Wittenbach, Hobey Baker.
If we change this question to be who should win the Hobey Baker, I might agree with you and say Ethan Wittenbach, but I don't think it's realistic.
But why can't this year be the difference where they finally give it to a
Maybe it will
Bobcat?
be. If it is, I'll tip my hat to you and say congratulations.
Because guess what? The Bobcats, I mean, yeah, you're arguing this whole ECAC thing. They had the most wins in college hockey.
They have multiple times, and it hasn't mattered.
But they also have, they have multiple wins against ranked opponents. You're talking about the strength of schedule.
So did they too when they had Colin Graff, and he had 59 points, and it still didn't matter.
But Ethan Wittenbach's going to blow that record out of proportion here. He's going to have a lot more than 59 points.
So you would hope.
Well, if they
well,
he's more than
And if he's going to go against Cornell and put up a -4 again, then I don't know.
Well, based off my brackets, I think he's going to have a 7-point weekend against Yale and blow that record out.
Then we'll see if he has a 7-point weekend against Yale. Colin Graff had Yale in the playoffs. He put up some points. Still didn't win the Hobey Baker. Still wasn't even top 3 finalist.
But you could argue that this season from Ethan Winbach is better than that season from Colin Graff.
You could argue that.
There's no question. This season is better.
And which player won a national championship?
We haven't gotten that far.
We haven't gotten that far. Ethan Winbach could join that list.
He could join that list. Colin Graff was on the team that was a #1 ranked team. This team is not going to be a #1 seed going into the NCAA tournament. That team with Graff he was the best player on one of, if not the best team in all of college hockey, and he did not win the Hobey Baker. That Quinnipiac team was better. Graff's season is very comparable to Ethan Wittenbach's, and Graff wasn't even top 3. But again, this is an argument against history. You guys want to argue that this could be historic for Ethan Wittenbach? You can argue that. But I'm going to play it safe here and say it's going to be somebody from a more developed and stronger conference.
But Quinnipiac didn't win the national championship because of Colin Graff. They won because of Yanni Perez. You have a wall.
Oh, yes, they won because of Yanni Perez, who faced like 15 shots a game. I think Yanni Perez was excellent. They won because that team had a stacked defense and a very good offense.
If you don't have a good goaltender, you're not going to win a game. You needed a wall back.
Well, and they also needed Colin Graff to score you needed Colin Graff to score a game-tying goal in the third period to go to overtime for then Jacob Quillen to win the game in overtime, which, by the way, both in the NHL is Jacob Quillen's with the Maple Leafs tonight. So I think that your argument here is Yanni Perez won them the national championship. I'd argue that team was better than everybody else, and that's why they won a national championship, and Graff was the spearhead of that.
I don't know if I agree with that.
This year's Frozen Four is heading to the Sin City in Las Vegas, Nevada, a feat that is so special to any school. But who will be there? Zach, let's start with your picks.
So I'm going to go with Michigan. No surprise there, top team in the nation. I'm then going to go with North Dakota, another 1 seed. Both of those teams very good. Michigan leads the NCAA in goals per game. North Dakota leads the NCAA in scoring margin. I'm going to put Penn State to knock off Western Michigan based off the bracketology. They lead the Big Ten in penalty kill. Obviously have Gavin McKenna, very good. My 4th team here, I'm going to go with Denver. I think that one's a little more iffy there.
Yeah.
6th in scoring defense, 11th in offense. They're 8th in scoring margin. But they're 6-3 against teams that would currently be in the bracket MPI teams. I think Denver and Michigan State, because Michigan State might jump Michigan for that top seed depending on how Big Ten goes off, and then Denver could end up in the same region. That's kind of what I'm banking on here. I think they're so close to each other, but Eric Polkamp is top 30 in the country in points. Denver has 8 players with 20-plus points compared to Michigan State with just 5. I think if Trey Augustine goes crazy, they could beat Denver, but I think right now I'd go with a Denver team that I think is slightly deeper than a Michigan State squad.
Okay, yeah, so I have some similar picks. I also have Michigan making it. I mean, this team, obviously, like we mentioned, is really good. You see the team next to them, Zach?
Of course you do.
The Quinnipiac Bobcats. We'll get into them a little bit later. North Dakota and Western Michigan are out of my top 2 picks, but here's why I think the Quinnipiac Bobcats are going to the Frozen Four.
So you don't think they're playing Michigan then?
No, they're not, because in the current bracketology, where it's shaping up, they're not playing Michigan. They're playing Michigan State. And here's why I think they could beat them. Michigan State is the 8th scoring team in the country. The #1 scoring team in the country is who?
Michigan.
No, the Quinnipiac Bobcats. The Quinnipiac Bobcats are the #1 scoring team in the country.
In total goals, not goals per game.
Yes, total goals. Okay. Let's go through some history here as well. Let's go through the last 4 years. A team that was in top 3 in scoring has won the national championship every single year the last 4 years. Western Michigan was 2nd last year. Denver was 1st in 24. Quinnipiac was 3rd in 2023. And then Denver was 3rd in 2022. #1 this year, Quinnipiac. So if that trend continues, we'll see Quinnipiac back out there.
Was it in total goals or goals per game?
Total goals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think Michigan is probably the favorite to win the national championship,
Yeah,
and they are #1.
I'm not disagreeing with that pick.
And North Dakota is 3rd, so I also have Nodak there. So I'm glad to be there.
Yeah.
So you're going to take all 3 top scoring offenses to make it?
Why not?
Okay.
I have a really interesting Frozen Four, and I have a feeling none of you are going to like it. I got 2 ECAC schools.
Wow.
I got Quinnipiac, I got Dartmouth. Why not? I think that Quinnipiac has proven they can beat good teams, and then obviously I think Michigan State is too good to lose, and I think Penn State's a very underrated school. I think that North Dakota beats up on bad teams. I think that Western Michigan is so-so. I think Quinnipiac has proven they could beat good teams. Do I think they could beat anyone that they would play in a regional in a series? Probably not. I'll be honest. But I think in a one-off, they've proven that they can go out there and they can win, and Rand Pecknell knows how to coach a playoff team.
Yeah, I agree.
As for Dartmouth, which is quite controversial, I'm aware. I think Reed Cashman can lead them to the promised land here. I think Michigan is very good, but I think that every year we know that it's never the 1 through 4 seed in the Frozen Four. It never is. Look at last season. Everyone expected Michigan State and BC to be the Natty Championship, and Michigan State was knocked out in the first round. BC was knocked out in the second round. I think that, why can't we have some fun? I think, first time since 2013, 2 ECAC teams.
I mean, if we were having fun, I would also pick Ethan Wittenbach to win Hobey Baker.
I think that Dartmouth is really underrated, and I think they have potential to really make a run. I mean, no one expected Cornell to go very far in the NCAA tournament last year, and they proved people wrong.
They didn't go to the Frozen Four.
I don't
I know.
disagree with that. I just don't think Dartmouth has the depth like these other teams.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. I think that Reed Cashman is going to be.
But how much can you coach not having the depth? I mean, the most important thing in my eyes, aside from goaltending, is depth to a team. That's why, and this Quinnipiac team is the deepest team in college hockey.
I mean, you guys brought up Hayden Stavroff earlier, the nation's leading goal scorer, and obviously I brought up, but I think that. I don't know. I just think that we should have some fun, and I think that Dartmouth has real potential.
We're talking about having fun. Let's go ahead and look at the fun there. We're gonna go ahead. I also picked Michigan State, Michigan, and Penn State. I know the big one is probably Providence. Okay, hear me out with Providence.
Look how many Big Ten teams you put there, and you still think Ethan Wittenbach's the Hobey Baker.
But I don't think that even Winnebach is going to be the reason that Quinnipiac wins or loses in the regionals. I think it's the rest of the team. I think it's the defense.
Phenomenal logic.
But let me talk about Providence here. They're 24-9-2 overall. They're leading the Hockey East currently. They're top 5 in scoring defense. And honestly, I just think that they're going to be a surprising dark horse along the way. I think that they have a chance they could go in that they can go in and win these games. They have Jack Parsons, their number 2 ranked he's ranked number 2 in goalie wins. So I think they have solid goaltending as well. I just think that they do have a chance. And once again, I just think that they're going to be a team that teams overlook and that they can make the way into the Frozen Four.
I do think Providence is a good team, probably the best team in the Hockey East.
You guys argue, though, about weaker conferences. You could argue the Hockey East has been a worse conference than the ECAC
this year. But our Hobey Baker awards came from the Big Ten. Now, for a second, I'm going to be on your guys' side here a little bit. Ava, I have an issue with something you said. North Dakota beats up on bad teams. North Dakota's ranked 3 in the NPI right now. Western Michigan is 4, and Denver is in the top 10. That's 2 other teams in the top 10 that North Dakota plays in their own conference. Would you classify them as bad, or are you saying the rest of the conference?
No, I'm saying the rest of the conference, and I think some of their
similar to the ECAC, where it's like
I think similar to the ECAC, yeah.
I just think that the North Dakota team is also very good. They're a very similar team, in my opinion, to Penn State. North Dakota's 3rd best offense in the NCAA. They're 6th in faceoff, 9th best defense. And if you look at their goaltender, Jan Spunar has a sub-2 goals against average, 4th in the NCAA at 1.93. He's got a 9.17 save percentage, or excuse me, a .917 save percentage, and he's 16-3-1 on the year. That is a guy, again, young player, but a guy that has shown this season to be a stud and could carry a team to a Frozen Four, plus 27% or so on the power play, a very good team, very efficient as well.
Yeah, I also want North Dakota because I think they're the second deepest team in this Frozen Four, aside from Quinnipiac, like you mentioned. Wanspar is one of the best goalies. I think he will be a reason. I'm going to back up my Quinnipiac take again for a second. I think in a one-game series, this team could beat any team.
They could.
In the NCAA because of this depth. I'm going to keep hammering
What about that
home.
goaltending that you've talked about all the time?
This goaltending, but again, like we mentioned earlier in the show,
Braden Blaze and Elliot Gronwald.
The 2023 Vegas Golden Knights, Aiden Hill. You would argue
this isn't the NHL.
I understand that, but it's hockey.
You need a goaltender.
Exactly. I know that you need a goaltender, but with a defense and a lineup in front of either Silverstein or Marinov, whoever's playing in the Frozen Four, can be so impactful that if either one of them is facing 15 to 20 shots a night, they're allowing 2 goals. This Quinnipiac team can outscore their problems, I think, at any given night. And I get Trey Augustine, one of the best goalies for Michigan, one of the best goalies in the NCAA for Michigan State. But I think that Quinnipiac is so valuable where they can roll out all 4 lines, and there's going to be at points where Michigan State rolls out a line that may not be able to match up to like a 4th line with Shineski and Cipollone out there, to where any of these 4 lines can go out there and outwork any line from either Michigan State. Dude, they can outscore their
Nick,
goaltending
I almost put Quinnipiac as well. I'm not going to say that they're not a good team. I think they are a great team. I think they were probably in my 5th or 6th spot to make the Frozen Four. The tough part for me is when I looked at it, I'm expecting Michigan State to finish above Michigan, and I cannot in good faith put Quinnipiac over Michigan. That's where I differed here. I think that if Quinnipiac gets Michigan State, I will take Quinnipiac to make it. But the way I predicted the bracket to potentially fill out, that's where I have Michigan facing Quinnipiac, and I don't think Quinnipiac can beat Michigan because the top-end talent of Michigan is better than the top-end talent of Quinnipiac, and I think that when you have questions on that backside like Quinnipiac does, you don't want to have that going against TJ Hughes, Michael Haig, Will Horkoff in that Michigan Wolverine squad.
I just think the Frozen Four, I think this is the hardest question to predict because you don't know how the NPI rankings are going to shake out. You don't know who's going to win their conference. You know, there's always upsets, and you don't know who's going to play who in the regional. So it's really difficult to predict, but go ahead.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I just don't see a world where Quinnipiac is making it to the Frozen Four. I think that they don't have a solid enough goaltending. I don't think that their defenders are solid enough. They've had a shaky defense all season.
Whoa.
David Weiss and Elliot Croner are great, but they can't lead a full defense for the entire game.
The rest of the defense is just fine.
The second leading defenseman point scorer, Will Gilson, with 28 points in the season, is on this back end. Charlie Letty, who has experience, is on this back end. Again, like we mentioned, Gromwald and Blake is on this back end.
How many times have they left Marinoff and Silverstein open all season? And Graham Swart has no experience. I mean, how do you expect this team to go?
I just don't understand how you can say...
Graham Swart has pro experience, though, which could be beneficial. I mean, we don't really know.
You also have the nation's plus-minus leader on this back end. I mean, they've been so valuable that they can outwork their goaltending problems, and they also play a really good transitional game where anytime the defense is zone, these guys are able to stop and shut down an offense. Granted, the Cornell game was a little bit of a different story, but I think they work on that, right? That transitional
and the
defense.
Dartmouth game.
And the Dartmouth game. But those are flaws. Those are outliers.
That's two of their last 4 games.
Yeah, and those are tougher opponents for them. What's going to happen when they go and face these top-ranked opponents? Is the transition going to be...
is with this team, he's one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in college hockey.
I have to see how this ECAC tournament shakes out before I can say that Quinnipiac's going to go. Because again, like I said,
we see this defensive unit as a unit works so well, like we have seen at points in the regular season, I think there's no question that this Bobcat team goes to the Final Four, especially with such a loaded offense. I mean, the top 6, you have Chris Pelosi out there on a different line than that Ethan Wittenbach, Marcus Vidicek, and Mason Marcellus line that can score given any shift. Then you go out there, you throw Chris Pelosi, Aaron Schwartz, and Andon Serbone out there. They're making noise, especially those last couple games. We've seen Schwartz get on the board.
And Verona, Chernesky, and Aaron.
And exactly, this team is so deep, and they any point they can go out there, they can give you a goal, and the unit of defensively go out there and make a stop at any point.
Between the depth and the defense, if they clean up their transition game a little bit, I think that they really could make a run for it.
How much time are they going to need to clean up their transition game?
They have this bye week. They have this bye week. They have almost 2 weeks off. They can clean that up in practice. You go out there against
the whole regular season, though, and they still can't clean it up. So you're going to expect it to happen in playoffs?
It was 2 outlier games, though. I mean, granted, it was against the 2 best teams in the conferences.
But it's against good teams at the end of the season.
They almost outscored their problems in the Dartmouth game, which I think they can do in the playoffs. And I think this series against Yale is going to give them so much confidence, right? We saw them beat Yale. They went on a little bit of heater after that. You win 2 games, and if you win them big, you have all the confidence in the world to go out there.
But Yale was 10th in the ECAC. There is no way, obviously, they're going to be making it to the
Frozen Four. What's going to happen? I'm saying it's a confidence builder. You go out there, you beat them 8-0, 7-1 on back-to-back nights. You have all the confidence in the world. If Ethan Wittenbach goes out there at 7
that requires Yale to win the first round still.
But confidence is great and all, but what's going to happen when they need to go and play good transition, good defense? That's not going to help them.
They've proven that they can against Dartmouth and Cornell. They did it because the other games that they played them in the season.
But towards the end of the season, they weren't able to do it.
And they'll clean it up. They can do it. They've done it before.
At the end of the season, right? At the end of the season, maybe some tired legs. I mean, this Quinnipiac Bobcats team plays a lot more games than those. Again, 6 more games than Cornell and Dartmouth. With their Ivy League schools, 6 more games, right? That's 6 games of tired legs on building on their body. Dartmouth and Cornell are teams that you could argue were in their prime to their season the last couple weekends, where Quinnipiac was at the end, tired legs. This week off is going to mean so much to the Bobcats.
Dartmouth and Cornell get the week off too.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm saying at that point where they had 6 less games played.
We also know what happens the week off because they've been banged up all season.
Yes,
they have.
Exactly.
So I think that this week off is really going to give them time to get rest and clean up their transition game.
We also know what happens when they go to Placid. They don't seem to play well when they head into Placid. So you're telling me that they're going to improve their game when they're playing in a spot that
I argue Hobey Baker winner. This year they have Ethan Wittenbach.
I think this year's team is just so much different. You could argue, or you really can't argue, it is. This is the best team since 2023. You could almost argue, it's a tough argument, that this team is deeper. Up and down the lineup.
I would not argue that.
I don't want to go there.
I would not say that. I would not say that.
I said it's a stretch.
There's an argument to be made. There's an argument to be made.
It's a stretch from here all the way across the desk to Brianna.
That's an argument for a different show.
That is definitely an argument for a different show. But I will say, you know what? 3 of us took Penn State to make the Frozen Four. So
that's true.
I'm very happy with my Hobey pick right now. With 3 people making the Frozen Four.
Well, that's all the time we have for tonight's edition of Inside the ECAC. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and X at Q30 Sports and check out our website at Q30TV.com to stay up to date on all the postseason content and much more. Thank you to the producers and everyone working hard behind the scenes. For Brianna Trachenberg, Ava Heaton, and Zach Naffah, I'm Nick Olsen. And that's this edition of Men's Ice Hockey Inside the ECAC.